Hello! This time we're going to talk about the activities from just prior to Samhain. This time is a good time for tradition and community bonding. The hunters would have completed their last hunt. They've sorted the livestock, and everyone has stocked their homes with preserved foods for the winter. Other designated parties would carve the pumpkins, organize the apples and nuts for whatever divination games that might be played. Farmers would ensure that their livestock will survive the winter, while city dwellers fill their freezers and cupboards with meats and breads and canned fruits and vegetables, grains, barley, oats, wheat, and some would be carving out turnips. Wood and peat were stacked for winter fires, creating a warm setting where family members joyously prepared for the feasts ahead. This is the time to gather with your chosen family, and it involves sharing baking things, salting the meats, making preserves. This would be accompanied by a nostalgic symphony of voices. So your whole household or village would be filled with young and old and human and animal voices as they all gathered together. Those who practice cooking magic, which uses all the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, cook and prepare the goodies with certain energies put into their food. They might be split into groups, like the cooks here, the bakers there, and the brewers over there. They would make popcorn balls, candy apples, applesauce, the pumpkin pies, apple pies, roasted pumpkin seeds, cakes. Soul cakes for the dead were put away for the special time on the actual day. During this time, families would be making protections against negative energies. This period was linked with increased spiritual activity. So protection for winter stemmed from both practical and spiritual concerns. This was done for their crops and livelihood. Winter severe conditions like cold, deep snow, and darkness posed physical threats to survival as well. Candles were made, sweaters, socks, clothing mending, and so on. And also, protective rituals were done, symbolic actions, and amulets were made, all symbolically reinforcing this safety and psychological comfort. Traditional decorations were made to decorate your home and village this night. They included those protections, amulets, and charms that were made, black candles, jack-o'-lanterns, which were made out of turnips in Northern European and ancient times, not the pumpkins we have today. And gargoyles were used to ward off negative energy or bad spirits. Orange candles were put out to heighten sexual arousal, and they're put in special rooms. Decorations might also include ravens, wild horses, feathers, brooms, ribbons, and symbols of dark gods and goddesses of winter. So that's the activities leading up to the night of Samhain Eve, which others call Halloween. Here are some of the winter protection amulets and their lore. Rowan wood charms might be made. Rowan wood was particularly prized for its reputed protective qualities. Some people made small crosses or pendants from rowan branches bound with red string. These were hung over the doorways or worn to provide a shield against evil spirits that might come to harm and protect homes from enchantments that could be more potent in the winter months. Hagstones are used. In the longer nights, hagstones, and those are stones with a naturally occurring hole in them, were kept close. These stones granted the ability for seers to see through the veil. Iron. The use of iron intensified in the winter. Iron horseshoes and nails, or even simple iron objects, were always placed above doors and hearths and provide a measure of safety against winter's unseen dangers. Acorns and oak leaves were used to decorate. These are symbols of strength and endurance, like the oak tree, and were crafted into amulets to embody the strength of that mighty oak until the return of spring warmth. Yarrow bundles. In winter, yarrow was included in protective and dream-enhancing rituals. Bundles were placed against pillows to repel bad dreams brought on by winter spirits, or hung in the windows to guard against negative energies seeking entrances into the home. Pentacle. A new pentacle is hung from your door, or the old one washed out and re-blessed. I did this when my husband was at work. He bought me one for my door. Traditionally, its significance is of balancing and harnessing nature's magical and spiritual energies. They provide comfort and reassurance. They were seen on shields of the warriors, home doors, and now some wear them as a protection as a necklace. Never touch a pagan or witch's pentagram, especially if it's on jewelry. It's considered very poor etiquette because you take away the energies that the witch has imbued into that item. Okay, now we come to the eve before the night of the actual celebration. But this is a celebration night as well. This today, for most people, is called Halloween. It's only one night. But for pagans, it lasts a few days. Most pagans also have the eve on this date. It is New Year's Eve for many. Some stay with the moon cycle and have the date then, while others do not call it Celtic New Year's Eve at all and read the Caligny calendar of the Celts very differently. They choose to see the New Year's Eve being on the winter solstice, and that this holiday is the in-between time, the ending of summer before the new year. So the eve of Samhain is family time. Performances are done. Treats and games take center stage. And guising. Guising is the wearing of costumes. In ancient days, it ensured a blending in with the spirits and possibly interacting with them. In other words, no one would know if they were talking to a human or a spirit. There was no difference. Costumes were also symbolically worn of animals or an adopted trait that the person wished to embrace, shedding old habits before the year's end. For example, you could dress as a king or queen, symbolizing that you wanted more wealth. After the younger children go to bed, after they've eaten their small supper and they're tired from all their sweets, the celebrations at night is saved for the adults who have fasted all day to perform the rituals, starting with that eve's dumb supper. Many Irish and Scottish Celt appease their dead this way. Some put pictures of their ancestors at each plate. The supper is served then in absolute silence, respecting ancestors or even pets, and leftovers are returned to nature. For some families, one place instead of many was set at the head of the table, and this was for all the ancestors. This place served food and drink without looking directly at that seat. Afterwards, the untouched plate and cup were taken outside for what some called the pukas and left in the woods. Pukas are goblins from Irish lore and can appear as dark horses, ravens, wolves, bulls, rabbits, foxes, goats, cats, dogs, raccoons, or even hares. Or they can come in human form with animal features. You can tell them because they have usually all white or dark hair. Other cultures call these spirits by other names. Divination was done really in fun and games that night, and the more serious divination would be done the next day from those who had second sight, or the healers who would gather to do prophecy and cast spells, drawing strength from these ancestral energies. We know that this was done in Scotland and many other places. In fact, divination is the second key aspect of the holiday or celebration of Samhain or Samhain, the first being that of the dead. So things that you do today come from ancient times, like bobbing for apples, which was called duking, and it symbolized attempting to grab good fortunes. The practice has a very sacred regard for apples, for if you cut an apple in half, it actually shows the pentagram. It was done also to see who might marry next, or who would get a boyfriend next, or a girlfriend. Hazelnuts were revered symbols because they associated with wisdom. In many of the mythologies, you can see these stories. At the end of the eve of Samhain, fires are extinguished only to be relit by each household from the sacred fire and brought back to their homes. Fires then light up the night in every home, echoing the ancient traditions to honor our forebears and renew household spirits. Casting bones upon the flames is a powerful symbol of life's eternal cycle. These casting of the bones became what we call bonfires. And now comes to the actual day of Samhain or Samhain. This is an adult-only day. Every group is so very different, so some choose to have their children there, but it's more about grief and death, so it's not a good time for the children to be there. I'm not going to go into any of our sacred things that are private in detail, but I will give you a base of the rituals it consists of. So as I was saying, ritual divinations are done. They usually seek wisdom from our departed ancestors, from any oracles, which we today call mediums, for our spirits of the dead. We gather together, and our soul cakes that we've made are used to do certain things. There are grief and healing rituals with our shaman-like figures, depending on your culture. And these, in ancient times, were public displays with the entire tribe or clan or the village out on the streets, everybody crying together. This got everything out of your body. They were not private grief where people struggle to keep it in, like in modern times. So we do one major adult only ritual. So we have figures that come out that are dressed up to symbolize our gods or characters of winter. There's certain dances that are performed, and only certain meats are eaten during this time. So I'd like to end with a poem that I wrote. The Call of Samhain Night. As darkness falls and the veil thins, the whispers of the ancients soon begins. In shadows deep, where secrets lie, the spirits dance beneath the sky. Leaves rustle with the autumn's breath, guiding souls who've conquered death. In the glow of the Samhain fire, the echoes of the old gods aspire. Through mists and moon, their voices weave a tapestry of nights to believe. With every flame, flicker, and sway, the past and future blend in play. Call to the spirits, wild and free, from mountain, forest, and the sea. On Samhain's night, the magic's cast, a bridge where present meets the past. Protective charms guard hearth and home, while ancestors through realms may roam. In thankfulness their names recite in ancient lands on Samhain night. Thanks. Okay, folks. As we embrace the darkness of the season and honor the traditions of Samhain, may this night remind us that in reaching out and listening to one another, we can heal feelings of loneliness, unworthiness, and invisibility. Together, we can shine light in even the darkest times. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time and tradition. I'm wishing you a blessed Samhain, filled with meaningful connections and profound healing. Until next time, stay curious, connected, and compassionate. Good night. I got you.